All right, welcome back to Cats coverage as we are back here to recap what Kentucky basketball has been doing. So they're fresh off a top 10 win against Miami. It's 95 to 73. They won by a solid 22 points. Before the game started, I saw the betting lines. They were somewhere, depending on where you looked at, between all throughout the day, 4.5 up to 7.5. So I didn't get to see the final one, but it was somewhere in that range. To win by 22. I know at one point they were up by 25, maybe even more than that. It's a pretty good thing to put out notice to college basketball to say, hey, we're going to defend home court. We're going to defend against a team fresh off a Final Four appearance, ranked number 8 in the country when Kentucky was just outside of the top 10 on Monday's rankings. So you look for them to make a jump back into the top 10 for the first time this year. They started off the preseason, I think, at like 16th, so middle of the pack. But as it's playing out, just like we predicted, they are making their way back to where we think they deserve to be at. So Michael, fresh off the win, for me, it was a feel-good win. I didn't make it to the game. We had Tim and Jordan there, so I wasn't at the game. I got to sit home, my comfortable air conditioned from my TV with all the comforts of watching at home, which is getting pretty good nowadays. But something I never get is FOMO, like, ever. And I think I got a little bit of FOMO last night after seeing that crowd at Rep Arena. What was that like? I know you guys were there last night. How was it?
Yeah, it was fun. I was there for Fox, and I was actually telling Rooster Tim before the game, I was like, I thought the line was 6.5. And I was
Exactly.
like, if it gets to 7 or 7.5, it's a little high. It's kind of like you're kind of out of the realm of like a couple late game free throws. If it's like, 5, 6, like it can get there easily with late game free throws. That was pretty high. So I wouldn't be surprised if some money got put on Miami late. So I didn't see the final line either, but man, it didn't matter. That game was almost a 30-point game that at the point there in the second half. And one of the big takeaways, Trace, was like, Kentucky went on that early run, looked good. Miami came back with their run. That was a huge, like 18-1 run or something.
Yes.
And then Kentucky responded with a run of their own, right? That's just basketball, right? Game of runs. But then that next Miami run just never came. The next punch never came. Game was over by first half, it felt like. And so I thought it was pretty impressive how they were able to kind of hold off any chance for Miami to get back in the game. They never really had another run, another punch. And that's a good sign because, St. Joseph's game, that game obviously went to overtime. They weren't able to put that game away, but they put Marshall away. And you think, okay, Miami's 8th in the country, so you can only compare it to the Kansas game. And it felt like there weren't a ton of like crazy runs in that Kansas game. It was kind of just two like awesome teams just kind of duking it out. And
Yes.
uh, and so I think it was a good sign that they went on a couple runs, held off Miami, and just controlled the last like 25 minutes of the game. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, let's just get right into it. Those runs. That was and then there was 10 minutes left in the first half. Or let's see. I got it wrote right here. Kentucky went on a 17-5 run late in the first half, and then followed by a 17-5 run by Miami. And then the point I'm getting at is Reed Shepherd came out of the game. Miami goes on a 17-5 run. The second he goes out, as soon as he comes back in, sorry, I'm losing my notes right here. Let's
I
see.
think it was more. I thought it was like 18-1, 18-2 run
Here it
for
is.
Miami or something crazy. Like I might be wrong, but
Here's
I'll
a
look at the play by play.
Yeah, Kentucky went on a 17-5 run with Reed Shepherd in for the majority of that. The second he goes out, Miami goes on an 18-2 run. And then where you approach halftime right then and there, they didn't score the last 3 minutes of halftime when Reed Shepherd came back in, and Kentucky started on a big run to start the second half, like 23 to like 2 or 3. So Reed Shepherd was in for those runs. When he was out, we definitely felt that. What about his performance? Through 7 games, it's been phenomenal. Like I was telling my brother when he was here watching the game with me, I'm like, you think you players would have to have time to adjust to the college level. They're not going to be as good as you think they are. They need time, kind of like DJ Wagner did. Reed Shepherd has immediately, there's no adjustment time. He has performed at the highest level, arguably one of the best freshmen in the country, and he's doing it in more ways than just scoring. What about the Reed Shepherd saga that we're getting into, the era from him and his freshman debut at Kentucky?
Yeah, man. I feel like, you know, obviously everybody talks about him being overshadowed, not just because, he's just like a smaller white boy, you don't think that he'd be crazy, but also overshadowed because he was the 4-star in this group with 4 other 5 stars, right? Like some had him as a 5, but he was a 4-star. The others were 5 stars. And he comes in and is just like the best player on the court last night. And, for him to shoot with confidence is a big sign, especially in these big games. I was telling you after that Kansas game, he was shooting the ball with confidence. He was 3 for 3, going into that last timeout, as we talked about. And, he buried 7 against Marshall. He goes 5 for 9 from 3. And a few of those were like late, kind of garbage. He was like 5 for 6, 5 for 7 going into the end of the game. That's pretty impressive stuff. So he's confident. His defense is amazing. He blocks the shot on that 3-point shot. It's like, who is this kid? Like, how does he keep doing this? And he's done it multiple times. And I asked him after the game, I was like, I first asked him about what's it, being comfortable, because he's played in Rupp Arena. He played at North Laurel in the Sweet 16 twice in that building, but you can't replicate the level of speed and, difficulty of the college game. So it's impressive that he jumped right in. I was like, what was the key to you, making that transition so quick? He just said, I give it to my teammates. We got here early and, guarding DJ Wagner and Antonio Reeves and Rob Dillingham and even Justin Edwards in practice helped him get better with defense right away. And then I asked him, I was like, hey, did you block any of their shots in practice? He's like, yeah, I blocked a couple of theirs. And then they stopped shooting as many when I was guarding them. I was like, there you go. So it's pretty funny to see that. And I mean, you rarely see guys go up and like block 3-point shots from the perimeter. That's insane.
Except him. I mean, he's done it a couple times this year, and he's the only one. Reed is that guy. I know we keep harping on this, but it's valid. He keeps getting somehow does it better and better each game. He can do almost everything on the court. I mean, I don't think there's a more all-around player on this team than him. I remember when the game was over, his stat line was like, I think team high 21 points, but then in terms of rebound, assists, steals, blocks, it was like 5, 4, and 3 across. Like he was doing everything, had his hand in every aspect of the game. And going off that, with DJ Wagner, we saw him get kind of injured right before the halftime and came out on the bike and never returned. Kentucky rolled him out. There's still no update on him, but we saw Reed Sheppard take over point for the entire second half, just kind of like we did in the whole blue-white game this offseason. So I think that's got to be a good feeling when which we already did know this, but when you have it kind of backed up of you have another point guard who can just run this offense with, there's no drop off. I want DJ Wagner as the guard. I'm not saying that, but that second half was better than the first half with the Reed at point guard. I'm not calling for him to be point, but like there was no drop off there at all. That's a damn good feeling to have 2-point guards when we spent a couple of years not having very solid ones.
Yeah. And, I feel what you're saying. Like, you didn't even need DJ Wagner to win that game. You didn't need him to play at all. And even when he went out, even if you didn't have the lead, even if you were behind 10, you were still going to win that game with him out, which was crazy. It's a slippery slope because you obviously are going to need him, and there are going to be some games when Reed just doesn't show up, and you need DJ, who just scored like 25, right? I mean, he's still an insanely good player, so you still need him, and he'll figure it out. But I like Reed's ability to just kind of like run the show, like you said, just running the point. I like his confidence, and I like that, how he plays off with Rob. We can transition to Rob because he gets only 12 off the bench. I felt like it was more, but also 9 assists. I mean, that's insane too. So you talk about that bench production, pretty impressive. And so if DJ is going to miss some time with that ankle, you're okay because these other guards are playing really well.
Yeah, I mean, last year we saw, we knew if Antonio Reeves was out, Oscar, I mean, things were going to get pretty bad. We had to rely on them for a bunch. And of course, you don't want anybody to get injured, but like you just said, DJ Wagner can take as much time off as he needs. Let's hope it's not that long, but like we saw no drop off. They just beat number 8 Miami at home by 22. They were up by 25 at one point. So it's clear we've got a deep bench. The production off the bench is insane. Rob Dillingham, Reed Sheppard, that leash is getting quicker and quicker for them to come right off in the beginning of the game, right off the bench as the 6th and 7th guys at the same time. And, it's almost like in terms of guard play platooning it. You just come and let them other guys come off, get a fresh breath real quickly, and Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham there's to tear someone up immediately, but no time off for them to catch a breath. So that's a good feeling going forward. It's looking like we might, even in terms of injuries and getting guys back. Looks like there was a report that just came out about Aaron Bradshaw might be here this Saturday. It's probably going to be limited minutes, but it's aiming for him to suit up against UNC Wilmington this weekend on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be fine. And, he kind of let it slip on his IG Live. I don't know if you saw that clip, but he said kind of let it slip. But I wouldn't be surprised if he still is held out. It'd be nice if he plays in that Penn game so that he actually has a game under his belt for that North Carolina game, because that's obviously a big one. And, you want him to play in that game if possible. So if he gets 2 games under his belt before Atlanta, that's huge. But I do want to say one more thing on Reed quick. I just want to slow the roll. You guys, you fans on Twitter, like, you guys are fully in it, and I love it. But saying that Reed is like gonna be a lottery pick and he's gone in 1 year, it's like, hold on, let's slow down a little bit. Like he looks good, but like, is he gonna be able to play this defense on James Harden next year? Like Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry? Like, hold on, let's calm down a little bit. Like, I love it. I love Reed as a player, but to say like, oh, this is a 1 year thing, he's going to the lottery. It's like, let's chill for a little bit, because I still see him coming back. He's not going to play like this every night. He's going to have some tough games, but it's encouraging that he hasn't really had a really a bad game. I think the game after the Champions Classic, maybe like Stonehill, he only had like 2 or 4 points maybe, but other than that, he looks good.
Well, that was the games that DJ Wagner and Justin Edwards got going. I think it was at Stonehill. So, you always wonder when these other guys come back, Aaron Bradshaw, or even just when DJ Wagner and Justin Edwards get it going like they have been, but we're still waiting on Edwards. Who's that going to take away from? When the one time when we've seen it happen, it took away from Reed Shepherd, but it actually didn't take away from him. He was doing everything else off the ball. I think if I remember correctly, after that game, he still had the highest plus minus. I know how we feel about that rating, but to have like just a handful of points, he might even had 0. He was still one of the most productive players on the court when DJ and Justin got it going, and he's embraced that role. He even said there was a quote that came out when he first committed to Kentucky. He said, "If I'll do," they asked him, how would he fit into this system when he got here, and he's like, "I'll go get the water for people if I need." He is here. He's all committed, and the nights that they need him to hit 7 threes and drop 20 points, he'll do it. The nights that he needs to have 0 points and have 7 assists, he'll do it. That's you could not ask for a better guy off the bench. And sorry, I'm not trying to harp so much on Reed, but I'm just excited. Did you see that tweet last night? There was a girl that said, "How do I tell my boyfriend there's a guy from London that I love better than him?" Sorry, I just butchered that. But did you see that tweet? That was hilarious.
I did. That was funny. How do I tell my boyfriend that I like somebody from London, Kentucky more than him? I thought that was funny for sure. But yeah, I love that. There's not this pressure on Antonio Reeves to and the whole team. It's like that tournament game and even the Champions Classic game. It's like, if he's not hitting, you're toast. I like how there's so many different options. So Antonio didn't even shoot that much from deep. He had his mid range going, a couple off the glass, little floaters. I like that part of his game, and that I think he should embrace more, especially when you got Reed, hitting threes like that, space on the floor. And Rob, who can, hit any shot on the court, it feels like. So that's nice for Antonio, and he's always going to get his 18 points. But I like how he kind of switched up a little bit. He's not just chucking up threes, which felt like if he wasn't in his threes last year, this team was going to lose. So it's a good added element for him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. No pressure on these guys. And I think that's why we're seeing such high performances already, like this early from them. We're only 7 games in, still the end of November. It seems like there's absolutely no pressure on these guys. And I know you've only played 2 quality opponents outside of Stonehill that gave you a little run for your money. But if the shots are not falling from a guy, they've got 5 to 6 other guys who can pick up the slack. like this team's deep, and I think I could just remember as back when being a player, a below average player myself. When if our shots weren't falling, and if I had someone around me that could just pick up and it's like, hey, it's your night. So it made me feel a lot more confident and less pressure when I was out there. So it's got to feel this way for them, and they've mentioned that a bunch this year. It's like, man, any night any guy can go for 20, and they've all said multiple times have said if it's their night, we're all in, we're giving it to them, feeding the hot hand, and just you ride the hotness and you ride the success, and this team is going to lead to a lot of points this year with that way. They've scored over 81 and I think every single game, which last year I think Cal said it right at 81 is what their goal was for every game, and they did not come close to that very often. So this team has put up a lot of points, and it looks like they're going to keep doing it all year long.
Yeah, yeah, I want to see more out of Justin. I wasn't at the couple games. I think last week he had 2 games of 20 points, or maybe just one, but he's
Last
he's at
year,
two.
better.
Yeah, he had 11, 5 for 7. I mean, everyone shot well. I mean, you shoot 60% from the field, 59%. That's absurd. So, everyone shot well. He shot well, 5 for 7. I like him getting to the rim, attacking.
Mhm.
But it seems like his 3-point shot just kind of isn't there. Hopefully it develops. Because if he wants to get to the NBA, he's gonna have to hit those. And he was projected to be a lottery pick. If he just can't shoot, then I don't know if he leaves. I don't know if he goes to the NBA. Maybe I mean he probably could still be a first round pick even if he doesn't have that part of his game developed. But um, I think that's what will take him into being potential top 10 pick. 'Cause he's explosive, man. Those couple dunks were awesome. He's a fun player to watch. But I just watching him in warmups, it just kind of, I was watching the warmups before the game. It was like he kind of just like never makes them. I don't know what he is for the season, but it can't be that high. And not to say it won't get there. I think it could, but that'll be something to keep an eye on as, an added element.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Justin Edwards has been one of the quote stars to be kind of more disappointing so far. And we're still really early, but like everybody else is getting it going. DJ Wagner took a little time too, but he's gotten it going. So thankfully, going off that same point is like last year, if we had Justin Edwards on that team, the pressure's on him as well. And if it's not working, who knows what kind of slump he goes into, and the team as a whole. So thankfully, we do need him to get it going, but like if it happens in the middle of the season, he picks up in the second half of the year, it's not the end of the world. We'd love to have him back. I know it's kind of early to say that, but we like to have him back, and the other guys can get it going for him. It doesn't all ride on his hand, which is a very good feeling to have a deep team because it's been some time since we've had a team that can just shoot like this from many different weapons.
Yeah, he's at 32% from three, 7 for 22. Not bad. But DJ is 7 for 28. That's yucky. But man, Reed is 63% from three. That's so absurd. And like a few of those, he chucked up a few late that were like, or maybe it was just a couple late that were bricks. Like that could have been even higher. And he's shooting, I mean,
I'd like to know,
65% from the field. That's insane.
I'd like
Rob
to know
D,
how many games
like,
he's had three
huh?
pointers. Like I'd like to know how many games Reed would have multiple 3-pointers made in the same game, like 3+ a game. Like that's got to be pretty impressive too.
Oh, for sure. Rob D also, I mean, 52% from the field,
Is
53%
he
from
really?
three. That's impressive. So obviously it's early, but still, even like, 7 games in, 7 games in, it's kind of like, it's starting to, it's going to start to level out. But, Reed's not going to shoot 63 the whole year. But if he's like in the high 40s, like that's really good. And Rob will certainly flatten out. But Trey, he's shooting 57% from the field. That's really good. I like that. He's 36 from three. So that the team shooting um, 52% from the field. That's really good. If you're in the 50s, you're a good team. If you're in the 40s from three, you're a good team, and that's what they're at. They're at 42, 43. So they're good, man. That Miami win's a good win. It's going to look good around March because Larinaga's team they're going to have a good shot to win the ACC. I mean, depending on how Duke and North Carolina look, they couldn't make a run at that, and they're shooting now that I have the stats, 73% from the line. Could be better. Um, but they're rebounding pretty well considering the fact that they don't have their bigs. I know you brought up Bradshaw, so yeah, we should talk about him. Like he looked good in warmups. I don't know, producer Tim, you were there. I don't know if you were saw Bradshaw, but I thought he looked good. He was hitting a good amount of them from like long twos. He wasn't shooting really many threes, but he was shooting long twos, and he looks good.
Okay. Yeah, I got to saw some videos from it. I couldn't tell like the video that I was looking at, I didn't see his feet in it. So I couldn't tell. I was like, if is he shooting threes or long twos? I was thinking it was long twos because his body didn't look all the way out there.
Yeah.
But I think that was his first full warm-up routine that he's went through all season long. So like, he's been out there a couple times shooting, but he went through the full warm-ups that night before the game. And so that's exciting to see his progression. I think my biggest takeaway from that point right there is the fans that kind of were harping on, is he ever going to play? I never bought it for a second. No one credible at all ever said anything like that. It was all fan talk, just opinionated stuff that was uninformed. But for the ones that were doing that, it's like now you can't say that anymore. Why would he be out there playing, getting all these things if he's not going to play here? He's definitely going to play here. You could throw that out the door, and I think it's going to be pretty soon. I hope he does. I really hope he does get some minutes, just like 6-7 minutes. Just run up and down the court this Saturday. Don't expect a thing from him, is how I would approach it. Just go out there and just get your legs under your feet. I don't know what his status is of how much he can get up and down, but hope that you get a big lead on this team. It's another comfortable night in Rupp. And I'd like to see him just kind of get a little embraced by the fan base until he goes out on the road where all the Kentucky fans, there's just a few of them out there.
Yeah, and I don't know because I'm kind of bittersweet because it feels like the best lineup might still be with what we're seeing right now with Trey at the small ball five. Like that might be what they close games with. So you're just looking for some minutes from Bradshaw, like, rim protection, some, I don't think he's going to shoot a lot. Cal doesn't let his big shoot. So I don't think he's going to shoot a lot from deep. But I think, if he could defend, he's got to be able to defend pick and rolls. He's got to be able to, crash the boards and then get out and run. I don't know how fast he is. Those are going to be some things that, we're going to have to see out of, the limited minutes that he's going to get early on. And then if he develops a good offensive game, that'll be really exciting. But it's not something that should be expected anytime soon. Not till January, at the earliest. And then the other bigs, I mean, who knows? That Big Z is getting sick. Like, can we get this guy some vitamin C, please? Can we go to Kroger and get him some vitamins?
Big
Like,
Max off the ground or something.
dude, take some vitamins. Like, it's, I hope he's okay. They said he's okay. He just had a high fever and stuff, but he's got to get there. Ugana, I don't know what the deal is with him. So, you're not looking for a lot out of those bigs. And we knew that. So Bradshaw is just extra. He's got all that potential. If he doesn't figure it out, I could see him staying another year, unless he just kind of goes crazy and starts hitting everything. But obviously that decision talk is obviously for March, April. But I like what he brings as a player. I just don't know how much he's going to give right away. And even like for multiple weeks until he actually gets in the midseason form, and then you're in the heat of SEC play. And I know there's some okay bigs in the SEC, but not many. So he's going to have good opportunities. But I just wish he was in that Kansas game, to see him go against Hunter Dickinson and go up against Baycott for North Carolina. Those are some interesting tests for the team.
Well, here's the thing with the Bradshaw situation. It's like if you sit here and think about his return. As a fan, anyone listen, I would like for you to really think about this. How do you feel about if the players that are available right now was all we had the rest of the year? I'm rolling with this team. I would love to have Bradshaw. On paper, he's supposed to be a big impact on this team. I fully expect that will happen one day when he gets back in the mix. But if you think of the mindset of the team that we have right now, how far you think this team could go? I'm rolling with this team. I'm excited, and we'll take whatever else comes. So if an unexpected Z never plays, or if something crazy happens and they don't go how everybody expects it, it's not like we're in the position of we're lacking major down low. Trey Mitchell isn't the best, but he's been better than people would thought. I'm glad we're not in the position of we're getting exposed down low, but when Bradshaw comes back, we'll be a solid team. I like the position of this team's solid right now, and then when we get him, we'll be elite, hopefully. So I'm just glad we're on the other side of the aisle compared to like what the overall feeling has been for years now. So, we'll take what we get when he gets here. And like you said, I don't think fans should really expect him to have a bunch of points from day one. He's got to come back, a couple of weeks to ramp up, get his legs under it, get the feel of college basketball. He's not played college basketball yet. He's only played high school basketball. So you think about in these early games for all the other freshmen, the first few games might have been slow for him. Aaron Bradshaw is going to have all that. It's brand new to college basketball. So, fans give him time. But, by the time it comes mid-January, February, we'll have most of that stuff way behind us, and we'll be looking forward to positive more of what this team can actually reach.
Yeah, playing a team, that's what it's going to come down to. You're going to need him when you're playing a team with a really good big, right? A tall big. You're just going to need him. Playing a team like Miami who's guard heavy and then has one big that's kind of like Trey Mitchell, it's like, okay, that's a great recipe, and I like their big. I don't know how to say his name because I didn't hear the broadcast. Omir, he was good. He hit a three, but he could run the floor pretty well. 26-5, that's it. Or 20-6, and then he fouled out with 5 fouls. And then that number 5, Poplar, that dude was a baller. So Miami's got some guys. So I think it's a good win for the team. You got a couple other okay non-conference games, and then SEC play start. So I think I'd probably put my money on this team winning the SEC. You could have said that before the year anyways, but if they can play like this, man, against teams that don't have a good big, like that's most of the SEC, and that is a pretty scary sight for the conference once league play starts. So they could get on a pretty serious run. I like the team a lot. I'm trying to think of some things I'm concerned about, but I'm not really concerned about a lot. Really just kind of how Adu and Edwards kind of keep figuring out that that forward position. I mean that they're better when they just go guard heavy anyways, but Adu, I like how he got some buckets in the Miami game. He knows how to find his, and he's cool with his role, but I definitely see his his minutes going down once Bradshaw gets back, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I hate it because the dude's been phenomenal in his opportunities. He's definitely taken an advantage of having a lot of extra more minutes than he wouldn't have thought he would have gotten to start the year. But yeah, I think he for in my opinion, for sure, Jordan Burks. I think those are the guys that lose minutes first.
Burks for sure.
But I think with a dude, it's like you never predicted him to have crazy minutes. So right now, you just take what you get from him, and if someone's not having a night or they're injured or they're out for whatever reason, Adu's a great guy to have as pretty much one of your last rotation pieces.
28's a lot of minutes. 9 points, 6 boards, 3 assists too. I mean, that's pretty good. He's good, and I like how Trey facilitates too. His 14 points with 7 assists. He also gives another kind of calming presence out there. So I like how this team's facilitating. But I wonder Cal's going to let all these guys eat, but and they'll all get minutes. But Adu, I don't know. Maybe he transfers. After this year, maybe it'd be nice if he stuck around next year because he probably could get a lot more opportunities. But with another good class coming in, he might bounce, and I think he could kind of have a similar kind of Keon Brooks, and then what's his face that went to Providence, Bryce Hopkins, kind of like go and find somewhere that will give you an opportunity. He could actually be a good player, but yeah.
So we do have to go straight to break real quickly for this ad read, but we will be back right after this.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook for this college basketball season. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks and predictions throughout the college basketball season. And we are going to have special offers for you, the listeners and the viewers on the Field of 68 each and every week during the season. If you haven't signed up with BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FIELD 1500 and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager on BetMGM Sportsbook. Here's what you got to do. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD1500. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if that bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code FIELD1500 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient for me when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly. When crossing state borders, just log into your existing account instead of having to create new accounts in each state that you go to. And most importantly, I got to let you know, we do have some fun stuff coming up for this college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, my personal favorite, parlay odds boosts. So download the BetMGM app today.
So we have survived the hard break. Michael, glad to see you back here. Tim, I know we can't see you, but I'm glad you're here too. So back to where we were getting into, we do rep Kentucky for field of 68. So we've got to kind of stay consistent with, can you see them starting to come around to our side like we were harping on this summer when we first got picked up by them? We destroyed their backcourt rankings. Our backup backcourts were better to be in that category. And so I don't know. We saw the tweets last night from Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster, and it looks like they're buying in. It's early. They do like to give a little hate to Kentucky sometimes, or a lot of times, but we stand our toes just fine here. Let's get into it. So I did see a tweet last night, and I've got to point this out. Jeff Goodman says, "Breaking, I hereby change my Final Four pick from St. Mary's to Kentucky." And now I didn't ever see his Final Four picks before, and I've got to think there's some type of joke in there with St. Mary's I'm not picking up on. But he's throwing Kentucky in his Final Four picks already. Rob Doster says he had a tweet in here as well. I can't find it now. But then Jeff Goodman also updated his top 10. Tennessee's in the mix, or Kentucky's in the mix at 8. Tennessee's at 10. So I think they're just buying in early instead of waiting all year long. And, the national media was all over that game last night. I think it was a big statement win against the Tulsa team, fresh off of Final Four, that it brought back a lot of people from last year. I think they started getting a little bit buzzed when Kentucky almost won against Kansas. What do you think? What did you see? Did you get to pay attention to a lot of the national media? Not that I really put a lot into what they say. I'm more of a local media guy because we're here covering the team. But it seems like everybody's buying into this Kentucky team already.
Dude, imagine if they beat Kansas. Imagine if Reeves hits like one of those threes late to push to overtime, and then they do something and win that game. Then they're gonna talk about, this team's going undefeated. It's like, whoa, So I like this team. I'm glad that people are picking them up. As I said, I think they should be the favorite to win the SEC. It'll be fun to see them face Tennessee and a couple of these other teams. Arkansas, I don't buy it. I think Kentucky's probably.
Hasn't Arkansas lost I think they dropped one early, and I think Alabama almost did. So those powers of the SEC aren't powering very much this year, but Kentucky's holding just strong.
Yeah, I think they could definitely win the SEC, but you never know in March, man. So I'm not going to make any Final Four predictions.
Yeah.
I think they got as good of a shot as anybody to get there. All it takes is one game, though, where nobody can do anything. So, that's why it's good to have Trey Mitchell in there, and who can be steady presence, but he can't really go get a bucket. You need guys that can go get buckets. So I like seeing Reed do this early. If he does it all season, then you at that point you just have so much talent. You just have more talent than anybody else, and that's what could get you to the Final Four. But I still want to see this team gel a little bit. They still have some weird stretches on offense that I want to see them work through, but not many. I mean, you're putting them 90, 100 points. You're looking as good as anybody in the country right now.
Well, I do want to ask you about that. So, it's very easy for fans and people covering their team and things to buy into what's all the success that's going on right now. It's sometimes, for me at least, it can be easy to overlook their weaknesses. If you had kind of had to go off just right now through 7 games and looking at what their weaknesses are, what would be a couple things you'd kind of point out that just stick out to you? I know their defense is there, but do you have any things that I just haven't thought of that would be maybe a weakness? They've got to get this going before they become elite. I know the
Yeah,
defense.
I think obviously rim protection, something, that will improve once Bradshaw gets back. I think they give up too many looks at the rim. They do a good job of defending them, but like Miami got, some backcourt passes into some looks at the rim, so the defense has to, wake up a little bit. And, but as I said, they did a good job of like, not letting Miami get a second run. If they did, I would have been more concerned, and it would have been obviously a much closer game. But I think it's just that free throw shooting. They obviously don't turn the ball over much, which is a great sign. Their assist to turnover ratio is like #1 in the country or something.
It's up there. I'd like to see him. If I could add into that, I would like to see him get started off quicker. It's kind of middle of the road, and then you have your off the bench production to be a spark to get things really going. Then it's from there on, it's pretty nice. But they've a couple times this year they've started off down early. So that would be my biggest complaint. Defense, everything that you went over as well. So maybe just a hotter start. But if things are going hot, then Reed and Rob don't come off as early. So you give and you taketh. There's goods with everything. If Aaron Bradshaw would have been here from day one, Trey Mitchell, we wouldn't have really got to see what we've gotten from him. A dude there, the arrow for sure. We probably would see more of Trey Mitchell than what I just mentioned there, but like a dude, the arrow definitely. So there's good through everything, there's bad through everything. But yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to complain about. Things are going pretty good right now. There's a lot of fun vibes around this program. But going off getting the bucket that we were just talking about, if you kind of just throwing you on the spot here, if you had to pick like with no preparation, who do you think would be Kentucky's top 5 scorers through all 7 games? Like who would you had to guess who's put up the most points for this team? And I'll tell you the actual ones, and we'll see how good it feels, how close it feels to actually what it actually is.
Yeah, top 5 leading scorers. You got to go Antonio and Trey, probably. Yeah, and then Reed and Rob, and then the 5th would be I don't know.
Oh, you better. It's all on you. You're about to go 5 for 5. Who you got?
Uh is it Edwards? Probably not. Or is it?
Oh, you were so close. You got 4 for 4. The last one was DJ Wagner, surprisingly.
Oh, DJ. Wow, that's interesting.
Edwards was 6th. But man, you were spot on. So
Well, how close was that? What are they getting?
So Antonio Reeves is #1, averaging 18.9 a game. Rob Dillingham second off the bench, 15.4 a game. Trey Mitchell, third place, 14.9, just right behind Rob. 4th place is DJ Wagner, 13.1, and Reed Shepherd, 5th at 12.3. So you've got #1 Reeves, #2 Dillingham, 3 Mitchell, 4 Wagner, 5th Shepherd, and 6th Justin Edwards. So you were spot on. Just that 5th and 6th guy was just a little off. But Reed's also had I think it was 7 threes made in that one game. Last night he was the leading scorer with 21. So he's had some hot nights to make up for it.
What's Edwards getting a game?
Edwards is 6th, and he has got 12.3, so just about a point behind Reed. But again, Reed's had some hot games to kind of fluctuate. Like he had a game with no points to throw in that mix, So
Wagner's got 13. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, DJ, that ankle. I don't know. You probably saw that clip that they caught on the broadcast where they were mouth reading, and it looked like he said it's broke, bro. So
it looked just like
not.
it. It looked
Yeah,
just
like yeah, but he should be all right. The limp wasn't great. That was like, it's not just he rolled it, like it looked worse based on how he was limping off. He probably sprained it pretty good, maybe. But he looked like he grabbed his knee too, like not just his ankle. So, but they said ankle. He got on the bike, which is a good sign. So hopefully, yeah, I'd be shocked if he plays Saturday, but Hopefully he plays the Penn game, but it might be like a 3-week thing. Who knows?
Yeah, man, I don't think you push it in this Saturday. There's no reason to. You're gonna win this game. Why not let Reed do his thing again? If not, like try something different. I mean, let Reeves come up the court with the ball a couple times. Like just you're gonna win the game against UNC Wilmington. There's no reason to have DJ Wagner out there. Why rush it unless he's good to go? I'm in that same boat too. But yeah, I mean, getting into it, Kentucky has, let's do some quick math, 5 days off. So they play this Saturday in front of Rupp Arena, fresh off of 20,000 people inside of Rupp. I don't know how we didn't get to this point already, but what about John Wall just showing up unannounced? See, like, unannounced to us, I'm sure they knew he was coming there. I think he came out as the Y. I'm sure 20,000 fans went nuts. I don't know, man. I love seeing that. John Wall's so cool. I don't even care to be corny and say it. He's got the swagger about him. He was here to get this thing rolling when Cal first got here. Him and Cal's always stayed close throughout the years, and he comes back and just gets fans excited. We see him in the Champions Classic every year, rooting team on early. I don't know. I selfishly like to see John Wall just show up and get the crowd rowdy for a few minutes.
Oh my God, the crowd was so rowdy. And then my buddy Chad texted me, was like, John Wall shots at Stagger after the game. I was like, absolutely not on a Tuesday. I gotta go to bed. But yeah, that was fun, man. It was a great crowd. They were into it from the opening tip. Sometimes for these non-conference games, fans get in a little late, but they were awesome. I think 7:30 tip helped get people there a little earlier. That crowd was awesome, and that's one of the most fun crowds. And then the in-game entertainment on the big board was hilarious. Like they had like a backwards, it was called a snackwards cam, where like they take people eating food and then they play it backwards. So like you see like people like take a chip out of their mouth. I was like, oh
Oh my
yeah.
God.
And then they got Jay Billis like looking at ice cream cone, and it was like the ice cream was coming out of his mouth. It was like disgusting, but so funny. And then they did like a holiday look-alike cam with like Yukon Cornelius and a bunch of other Scrooge and like other holiday characters lookalikes in the crowd. So that was fun, man. That was a great game. Producer Tim, I know he would agree. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that they it's not the world's coolest thing, but they're trying to make the timeouts and stuff more exciting instead of just the same old routine. So I'm for it. I like it, and I think the key is, I'm no expert at this, but if you can get the kids and the young people there excited, the adults are gonna follow. So if you got the parent that's just sitting there just like, yay, go Cats, but then you get their kid rowdy and excited, like that's gonna be perfect for the both of them. So if you can attack the kids and get them going, put them on the camera, I think things will spice it up a little bit and let things be more fun. Again, going off, there was the largest crowd. I think it says 20,119 in that student section. Got the blue and white split. A lot of buzz before the game of trying to get that coordinated. I think I saw some pictures again. I didn't get to make it to that game, but the two end zones up the top that are normally got that little empty patch, I think they pretty full, weren't they? I remember.
Yeah, they were full.
Were they?
Yeah, they were full.
I like that they showed up. I knew that we can always count on. I didn't think it wouldn't happen, but they showed up for a big game, early game, and it had an effect. I don't think you go on that big of a run if you're playing, at another power at their place. It's the momentum's everything. I always stood by that. Momentum's everything. Home court is most of the time everything. I don't know. It's another feel-good win, another statement win. And now we're looking to UNC Wilmington this Saturday at 7, I believe, another Saturday night game. And then they're off for another week until the next Saturday when they go up to Philly for Penn. It's the kind of the homecoming game of what they're saying for DJ Wagner, Justin Edwards, Aaron Bradshaw. So, their local crowd is going to be there. Kentucky fans will travel. It'll be a big environment, another road environment that they should win. And then they're off for another week to play Carolina. So it's kind of like 3 games in 3 weeks. It gives them a little break to kind of get things, Aaron Bradshaw coming back, DJ Wagner Hill up. So things are going to slow down just a little bit to give us time to kind of regroup and not go Tuesday, Saturday again. So I'm excited, man. Before we get out of here, did you have any final thoughts about upcoming schedule? I mean, Carolina's right around the corner.
That's it, man. I'll be in Atlanta covering the game, so I'm excited about that one. But
Yeah,
man,
that
this
one's
team's
Atlanta.
looking good.
Yeah. All other than that, that's all I got. We will catch you guys next time. Just subscribe to the Field of 68 YouTube, the Cats coverage YouTube, but we're putting out all kinds of player interviews after the game, Cal's press conference. I mean, we're holding down the fort on our end too. So we're putting out articles throughout the week. Follow us on social media at Terrell Trace, at Tim Smith TC. I know y'all can't see him, but he does all of our photography and video work. Some impressive stuff too that we're putting out on social media. So give him a follow too. And Michael, where can fans keep up with all your great work as well?
And Michael Epps TV on Twitter and Fox 56 Sports. Just tap in. We got some good stuff.
Yes, sir. We will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Please share. It helps us grow. Get some of our hot takes, clip it so that when we're wrong, you can expose us, or you can ride with it while we're hot and they all make sense. So, again, thank